How is it going, everyone? It is one of my favorite times of the year. You know, you got the holidays coming up. I remember back when I was in school, it was always a great time getting on winter break. A lot of the big games had just come out. There was a lot to play. And we would be heading into the Steam winter sale. And in this video, I want to once again highlight some of the tips I have for you to survive the Steam winter sale. I do these videos every time there's one of these big Steam sales coming up. It seems like they do pretty well, and there's always a new audience that watches these videos. It's me reiterating a lot of the same stuff, but this time around, I do have one new tip, and also I just feel like it's good to reiterate it just because some of you guys appreciate it. There's always a new crowd watching these videos as well. And they do pretty well, saying I need to keep the lights on, you know what I'm saying? Chicken ain't getting any cheaper, and I'm here to help you guys save some money. And while, you know, I've been reiterating these tips for, I want to say close to a decade at this point, sometimes your boy falls victim to doing the same things that I parrot to you guys not to do. But with that being said, let's get right into it, and let's start off with the most important tip. Look, it's very nice looking at the, oh my god, this game's 75% off, oh my god, this game's 80% off, but assess your backlog, and one of the most important tips I have for you right off the bat is to skip the sale entirely if your backlog is insane. I don't care if the game's $1.99, I don't care if the game's $3.99. Look, if you just want a digital listing of an additional game on your Steam library, I don't know, that's ultimately what a lot of these games amount to. And if I look at the games that I bought during the Steam summer sale earlier this year, that's what a lot of the games that I bought back in June and July, that's what they've amounted to. And you know, for a lot of you guys, if you buy a lot of games, that's what they're gonna end up being. Look, it's nice to check out in a cart where a lot of the games are 75 to 80% off, and you think you're getting a really good value deal. Look at all these games I'm getting. 6 games I'm getting here, and I'm only paying $25. What a great deal. No, it's not a great deal because ultimately those games are non-existent if you don't play it. It's wild to me how much a killing Valve is making, selling people games that they're never gonna play. Look, at the end of the day, all of us have one finite element in life, and that is time. You are not going to magically make more time. It doesn't matter if you get the games on sale, you still gotta go to sleep at some point. Most of you still gotta go to work. Most of you still gotta go to school. Most of you guys have your day-to-day activities. That's just gonna make it a reality for you that you cannot play every game under the sun. And ultimately, that's what a lot of those discounted games are gonna amount to. And yes, it looks very appealing. Oh my god, 80% off. But for a lot of you guys, assess that backlog. Are these games that you're going to play in the relative near future? And if they're not, rethink about buying them in the first place. Don't even open up the Steam store. If you think you have a good, healthy lineup of games in your backlog, skip the sale entirely and then go buy games when you actually exhaust the games in your backlog. But with that being said, skip the sale entirely if you do have a lot of games in your backlog. Alright, number 2, do not buy anything expensive that you aren't going to play anytime soon. Now, what is expensive? This is a tip that I reiterate a lot, and it's another one of the more important ones. Expensive is relative. Ultimately, for some people, that's north of $20. For some people, it's north of $5. I think at this point, it should be anything north of $5. If you're not going to play it anytime soon, do not pick it up. And by anytime soon, I mean within the next 3 months. If a game's 90% off for $3.99 and you have it in your head that you're going to play it at some point, okay, whatever. Maybe pick it up then. However, these games are getting cheaper and cheaper. These games are ending up in humble bundles. These games are ending up free. And if you're okay with using something like the Epic Game Store, imagine for a lot of you guys, you picked up a Hogwarts Legacy as it's been going on sale for $7.99 or $8.99 or whatever the price point's been, and you thought that was a really good deal. Guess what? It's free now on the Epic Game Store. So even at that heavily discounted price point, you still could have gotten a better value pickup. A lot of the games do end up in humble bundles. For example, let's throw out something like Resident Evil 4 Remake. Right now, that game is at a historic low price point of $15.99 on Steam. That's a great deal. RE4 Remake is one of my favorite games of all time. However, chances are that game is gonna end up in the summer Resident Evil Humble Bundle, so if you pick up RE4 now, there's a good bit of you and a good portion of you that probably will pick it up, and you probably won't play it anytime in the near future, and $15.99 might seem like a good deal, and it is. So in the case of something like Resident Evil 4 Remake, and this is applicable to so many other games, it's just historically Humble has run that summer Resident Evil bundle, even though RE4 is at a historic low, if you're not going to play it for 7 to 8 months, your best bet, if you're okay with buying games from other e-tailers, would be to wait for that Humble bundle, and that goes for a lot of games. I would even say games at $5 to $10 that go for. Like Hogwarts Legacy, for example, it was free on the Epic Game Store, but some of you guys want a Steam copy of it. It'll probably go down to, what, $8 or $9? That seems like an incredibly great pickup, and it probably is. However, at some point, it's gonna get baked into one of these Humble Warner Brothers bundles, and you can get it for super cheap that way. And that's the thing. I feel like the floor in terms of how much you should be spending on these games for a lot of the titles is going lower and lower. And then there are games like Lies of P that just hold up in price perpetually, but it's a case-by-case basis. I just think if you don't have the plan of playing a game anytime in the near future within 3 to 6 months, more often than not, your best bet is to just wait, because chances are the deal's gonna be available again. What, you want that listing on Steam that you have 900 games instead of 894? Do you really need those 6 games that badly? You don't. Let's be honest here, you don't there, buddy. So, yeah, just be a little bit selective when it comes to games that you don't have any plans to play in the immediate future. Number 3, alright, Steam's got me and a lot of other people with this new thing that they do, the deep discount section. The deep discount section is great. It's gonna be one of the sections that I immediately go to and I cover all of those deals. However, I feel like now people look at the deep discounts and they just start salivating. They're like, oh my god, this game's $1.99. Oh my god, this game's typically $50. It's now $4.99, and you just add all of the deep discounts to your cart, or a lot of them, and you end up buying them. Again, the dopamine rush of buying games that are 90% off is so crazy, but we gotta break that. You guys, when I look at the deep discount section and I see crap like, not bad games, but stuff like Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Series for $4.99, I already own all the Walking Dead games, but I'm like, oh my god, it's 90% off for $4.99, I want to buy it again. Dude, I feel like the dopamine rush of me just wanting to buy a game for $4.99 that I see so much value in, I'm at the point where I would rebuy these games. Obviously, that's a little bit of a hyperbolic take, but you get the idea. I feel like I see 90% off, and I'm all like, oh my god, I need this more than I need the air in my lungs. Like, it literally gets to that point. But, just be careful. Again, I would less so, if it was me now, having all of these games, I would less so a lot of the times focus on the exact discount that's offered for the game, and focus on whether or not you actually want to play the game. Just because, I don't know, Total War Shogun 2 is down to, let's say, $5. Let's be honest, is Total War a game that you're gonna play? Shogun 2 is awesome, but is Total War Shogun 2 gonna be a game that you play? I feel like the two things that you need to have in mind when buying a game, more so than the price point these days, because a lot of you guys at this point have jobs and you have disposable income, is are you gonna play the game? Ask yourself, are you gonna play the game? Are you interested in playing that game? And number 2, do you have the time to play that game? Because I feel like time is more finite to a lot of people these days than actually the money in their bank account, and that just leads to a lot of dumb purchases. And that's just a habit you want to break. Not only in gaming, just buying dumb things in general, and definitely when it comes to Steam sales, buying dumb things. Like, think about how many millions of dollars. You guys see how much money Valve is making on Steam? And a lot of that is just based on selling you games that are deeply discounted that you're never gonna play. Like, I think a lot of you guys underestimate how often that happens, but yeah, just be careful of that deep discount section. And number 4, the bar of a deal being truly great has gone higher. This is a new thing that I want to bring forth to you guys, because when I got into buying games on Steam, summer sales, winter sales, a lot of the notion online was anything that's 75% off and sub $5, that's automatically a really good deal. Dude, it's 75% off. Like, those were the thresholds that people had in place. However, I really don't believe that's the case anymore. 75% isn't this number anymore that I think you guys should be aiming to automatically assess whether or not it's a good deal. I think you need to get out of that mental framework entirely that just because a game is under X amount of dollars or it's X percentage off, that it's automatically a good deal. First of all, let me tell you again, and reiterate, number one, are you going to play the game? Do you have interest in playing the game? Number two, do you have the time to play the game? Those are the two things that I feel like really need to be assessed before you buy anything. Number three, to add on to the bar of a deal being great, only getting higher, again, now you do have these deep discounts that it's proven that games will be 90% off, that games will be free even, that games will be baked into these humble bundles. No longer is just the game being under $5 a good deal. Yes, it's a case-by-case basis, and when RoboCop Rogue City, a game that's not even 2 years old, was down to $4.99 or $3.99, that's obviously a really good deal. Just because a game meets an arbitrary percentage threshold or a price threshold, don't automatically assume it's a good deal. And I know that's a little bit hypocritical of me given that I do videos under $5 and under $10 and all that, but even with that, that's just supposed to be a guideline of some of the games that are on sale. It doesn't automatically mean that all of the game deals are great relative to each individual person, because each individual person has a different idea of what games they like, has a different mindset of how much money they want to spend, has a different amount of time to invest in games. It's a case-by-case basis with each individual person as well, and I'm not going to be able to answer how much time you have. That's why I need you guys to assess those elements. But generally speaking, just realize that that idea of 75% off, $4.99, that doesn't automatically make a good deal. And a good deal to you might not be a good deal for somebody else, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Number 5, go to other e-tailers, Humble Bundle, etc. The only disadvantage of buying your games from a Green Man Gaming or a Humble Bundle is that you don't get to utilize Steam refunds. However, you still have the opportunity to buy these games heavily discounted and usually even better than the Steam deals during a winter sale, especially that Green Man Gaming with the Square Enix deals. You usually save an additional 20%. That's a sizable discount, especially with how expensive those Square Enix games a lot of the times can be. You know, picking up a Nier Automata for $11, $12, that definitely beats out paying $15.99 on Steam. And humble bundles and whatnot, Fanatical with the Fanatical bundles, you can get a lot of great deals. Like, Fanatical's Capcom bundles are crazy a lot of the time, so keep that in mind. But number 6, definitely an important tip as well, and it's forgotten about. Do utilize refunds if you're buying games directly on Steam. Look, if you're buying a game like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, if you're buying games like Callisto Protocol or Dead Space Remake, you know, games that have a reported track record of having some issues to varying degrees. That's why I bring those games up. Callisto Protocol was a game that I literally dubbed the Stuttering Protocol when it came out, that the stuttering was so bad. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is notorious for its bad performance. It was one of the worst performing games of all time, and that's a decade plus of me playing PC games. Like, it's legitimately an atrocity when it came out. These games get better, but performance is really a crapshoot a lot of the times, and much like deals are relative to each individual person, good performance versus bad performance, that's going to be relative to people as well and what they expect out of their games. If you open up Jedi Survivor and it's dipping down to 30 frames per second and that's unacceptable to you, refund the game. If you play a Callisto Protocol or a Dead Space Remake and it's stuttering left and right, that's not good. Refund that. Just remember, you got a 2-week window and you have to have less than 2 hours of playtime. I usually, if I want to refund something and I have the idea I might refund this game, 90 minutes is what I let myself cap to, just to have a little bit of headroom. But it's one of the best features on Steam, the refund policy. PlayStation's refund policy is absolute garbage when you're talking about, oh, if you start the download for the game, you can't refund. Like, what is that nonsense? Steam, they let you play the game for up to 2 hours. And for whatever reason, like, generally speaking, it's no questions asked. If you're within that window, you can refund the game. However, the issue when it comes to utilizing refunds, when it comes to a sale like this, is a lot of people hoard and buy 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40 games. I'm not even kidding. Some people buy, like, an egregious amount of games. You're never gonna, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit down and play each of them for 90 minutes and then realize, okay, this one works, this one, and, like, a lot of people don't do that. Years go by, and then they finally decide to open up a game, and then they realize the game doesn't even work on their machine. Like, that literally does happen, so utilize refunds, especially if you are buying games that, look at the Steam reviews, like, check, are people having problems with this game? And again, some people might have problems with games that other people don't. It's really a crapshoot in that regard, and you know, you just got, a lot of the times you gotta test out games for yourself, because a game like Stalker 2, for example, so many people had game-breaking issues with that game, and my experience with that game was relatively good because of my expectations. And yeah, the game crashed 2 times or something like that during my entire playthrough, but that was okay for me. But for another person, the game might be unbootable, might crash left and right, might be unplayable. So in that case, you want to utilize refunds, but you don't want to be in a position where you buy Stalker 2 for, let's say, $36. Let's say it's 40% off. I'm just throwing out a number there. Let's say you buy that for $36. You don't get to that game for 2 months, and then you decide to finally turn it on, and then you realize, oh, this game's just crashing left and right. It's barely playable, and then boom, $36 gone with the win. Utilize the refund policy that's available to you. It's such a great feature, and not only for game sales. Like, if you buy a $60 game on release date and the performance isn't good and it's crashing, or you just don't enjoy the game based on playing an hour or 90 minutes of it, you know, refund that game. I remember talking to a buddy of mine back in early 2022, and he bought Elden Ring for $60 just based on the hype. Game was not for him, and he was upset that he was down $60, and I had to explain to him that, brother, Steam has a refund policy. And then he refunded the game, and the description and the reasoning that he gave for wanting the refund was telling Valve, I am not built for this game, and they gave him the refund because generally it's if you fall into that threshold, they're giving you a refund. So with that being said, utilize the refunds. But that'll do it for me. Again, I know this is a retread of a lot of the same information, but I feel like it's important to go over, especially to avoid spending a lot of money on games that you're not going to play. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.